Welcome back to Behind the Piece, the Emerine podcast. Our previous episode explored sustainability and how modern technology works with traditional methods. Today's conversation takes a different angle. I'm speaking with someone who's navigating the same challenge as I am, just from a few steps further along the path. I'm Ishal, founder of Emerine, and joining me today is Jiya Dani, an accessory and jewelry designer currently studying at NIFT Gandigarh. While still a student, Jiya has already built impressive industry experiences through internships, freelance projects, and brand collaborations with Sutra Jewels, Walking Tree, Novara Jewellery, and Diarosa, where she's worked on design development, manufacturing processes, branding, and research. Beyond her commercial work, Jiya has also led craft-based research projects, including an in-depth documentation of traditional lac bangle craftsmanship in Jaipur, working directly with the artisans to understand and preserve their techniques. Jiya, I'm really glad you can join me today.
Hi, so good to be here.
Okay, so Jiya, most students wait until after graduation to start working professionally. You clearly didn't. What pushed you to start gaining real industry experiences so early, and how has that shaped the way you think about design?
So basically, when I started dabbling into jewelry, since I do actually come from the jewelry background, I really wanted to get a head start and actually deep dive into actually seeing something like real in my hand. So I started working. I started taking up like LinkedIn projects and freelance projects just for fun, just to see how much my potential was out there. And truly, starting early has given me a really good head start. As of now, I've worked with about 4 brands and I'm still not graduated, but that does give you a very in-depth idea of what you actually want to do moving forward, like what people actually figure out post-graduation. You can actually genuinely figure it out before you step in the industry. You can find your niche. And once you find your niche, the way and the path ahead is really clear.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's what I want to explore with you today is how you've managed to do all this, like studying, working, researching, and still keeping your creative voice intact. So you've tackled a diverse range of projects: contemporary jewelry, traditional craft research, commercial brand work. As you've moved through all of these different experiences, how have you started to identify what your design voice actually is? Like, was there a moment when things started to click?
So when I actually first started working out, I worked for a minimal jewelry brand, and then I went on and started working in 2 startups, which were statement jewelry. And that there is where actually I found my voice. Since I was in the lead design planning, I realized that statement jewelry and just jewelry with some concept and putting yourself out there by expressive jewelry is something I really find interesting, and I can explain myself much better through my designs. And it is what jewelry is, right? Like it is a form of expression. So
Yeah.
that is where I found my own voice. Also, I dabble a lot into diamond jewelry, and that keeps me connected to my roots since my family is actually into diamond jewelry. So the balance of both of these is where I am working right now, and I would like to move forward with the same and see how it goes and how interesting it can be.
And when it comes to showing that to the world, your portfolio, what have you learned about presenting your work effectively, especially to brands or potential collaborators?
So I started making my portfolio in approximately my third year. I had a lot of like college projects in which, we explored different inspirations, and, you take inspiration from art and architecture. So what really helped me build my portfolio was to actually have a mood set in, right? So basically the direction that you want to go in, you would kind of need to nail down your moods and your moods for each and every project. So if you keep that, then it is clearly and conveyed to the brand in much crisper form that what you actually stand for, what are your interests. Because when you take inspiration from things, you actually know about them, you research about them, that means you're like really interested in them, and that really speaks and resonates with brands when you have that sort of visual board, actually like a mood board, a storyboard, a client board perhaps. So that is when you know that the client is understanding you better, and the recruiter who's seeing your portfolio understands you better. Also, technical details in a portfolio make all the difference. that does give them a reassurance that you actually know your technical aspects of it. You know how you want your jewelry to be made, because once you design and when it goes in the CAD and the manufacturing process, that's when the actual tough part starts, because that's when it has to come to life. And a lot of R&D is where most jewelry designers have a issue with, because when they reach that stage they don't know the technical aspects of it. But if you do research on that, that would help you out greatly. And when I actually started sending my portfolio to brands, they started catching on to the pieces which were very like statement for me. So that's how I ended up working in one of the startups as well. It was very bold and expressive, and it actually said that what I was in a nutshell, what my personal aesthetic was. And if you bring that across in your portfolio, they will find you more interesting to work with, because they'll think you'll have a clear vision.
Yeah, I think like having a set mood is something that I will definitely like use. So it's like more clear for you to navigate what kind of way you want to go, and it makes your portfolio more organized in a way.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your lac bangle research project in Jaipur, like going to artisans, learning their techniques, documenting their process. That's such a hands-on immersive work. So what's the most important thing you took away from spending that time with craft people?
The most important thing that I actually took away was one of the things that you actually need to sit with the artisan to actually know the craft. And the main thing is you learn the value of the craft when you actually sit with them and you hands on make those jewelry. We really underappreciate like the artisans with us, and we do not appreciate them. But the initial, like the kind of knowledge that they have, like no books or no Google can actually have, because they know they're doing it every single day.
Yeah.
So that is where like my entire perspective changed. So I have spent 20 days in Jaipur doing a research on lac bangles, and now I in and out I know that how it is made, where I can source it from, what is the marketplace for the lac bangles. And when you go there, you experience with the customer as well. Like their customers come to their shop to buy things, to customize things. So you understand their genuine clientele. But if you're just researching it online, you wouldn't know that. But once you're in person, you can talk to them, you can know your clientele as well, and it helps you understand better what will actually sell as well and how it will market as well.
Like, is there any way that that experience changed how you approach your own design work? And do you think about materials or techniques differently now after seeing that traditional process like firsthand?
Yeah, for sure. So first, when you design, it used to be very like, I saw this in a mood board and I started working. But now beyond, I can think beyond like just the few images in front of me. Like I can manipulate the technique. I will actually know that, oh, you can actually make it like this, or you can actually twist it around like that. So it actually gives you a very good perspective that you can incorporate the different technique in your design as well. And it also helps you understand your client. So as I said before, when you're designing, what happens is initially you start designing for yourself. Like you will always think that, oh, you know what, I like this, like I like this in a particular design. So it becomes really personal, but then you will learn how to detach yourself from the design and think about what the client will perceive it as. And that gap is only bridged when you actually have some experience hands on. So that is where the main learning was set in for me.
Yeah, because there's something about witnessing the entire making process and like seeing hand shape raw materials into finished pieces. So that must have shifted your perspective completely.
Yeah, so lac in a material is really, it's sensitive. Like you have to really take care of it. You have to be careful at each and every process. What you think initially before seeing the process is, once I just give into my design, I will not have to like follow up. Like the work is done at that point of time. But you learn that design is actually going to be really back and forth. That is something you see when your pieces are actually getting made till the finished goods, because you have to go to research and development, when you reach that stage, when you hit a ballpark and you come back to the design, when you hit a roadblock, you get to know that how the design can be made better than you actually even imagined. So seeing that process really helped, make the initial design come out much better.
Okay, so moving on, between your internships, freelance projects, and your studies at NIFT, you're experiencing both worlds simultaneously. So, what are the biggest differences you've noticed between academic projects and actual client work in the industry?
So when you make academic projects, you go all out, right? Like you do not think of the pricing of it. You do not think of the gold weight of it. You do not think like, oh, where am I going to source the stone from? And when you actually set foot in the industry, you got to know that people do love designs which are innovative, but also till a certain price point. Like you have to know where your sourcing is done right. So, for example, I'm working in Sutra Jewels right now. So when I stepped into the company, I got to know the various kind of gemstones and diamonds, like something I could not even imagine before. And now I know how to look at them, how to sort them, how to get the look and feel of it. And basically, if you are doing studded jewelry, for example, you need to know the sizing of each of your stones, which before the industry experience, I don't think I could judge that much.
Yeah.
But post that, I got to really like good eye for what I could use where, and that really changed my perspective from college to the industry. And college is basically you get a lot of freedom to do what you want, right? Like there is no boundaries. But then when you go into the industry, you learn how to be creative with the certain boundaries, keeping in mind that you actually do have to sell your pieces as well.
And are there certain skills or insights that you've gained through working professionally that are things that can't be taught in a classroom setting, and like anything that caught you off guard?
So what caught me off guard was you have to be really quick with all the deadlines. You can't take like 6 months with just sitting in one direction. So when you go into the industry, what happens is you have to get it right within like a few days. So it's not like you can just like procrastinate, sit and ponder. So one of it that you learn is time management, and you will never be like satisfied with your design, right? Because you will always want to make it better. But when you go into the industry, you actually learn that you can't change it. Like you can't be indecisive that way. Like you have to be more confident about your own work. So you become really confident once you step in the industry. As in when you work, you obviously learn. Like you have to like go through the process of unlearning before. Like people will correct you, like your mentors will guide you. But then when you find the correct mentors, it'll be a game changer for you.
Yeah. So here's something that I think about constantly with Emerine. So you've experienced both worlds, watching artisans create handcrafted pieces during your Jaipur research and watching and working with commercial brands. Has there been a specific moment during either experience where you witnessed a practice or approach and thought, yes, this is exactly how it should be done?
Yeah, so when I went to Jaipur and I learned more about luck, it really opened my eyes on sustainability. So when you actually research about the material, you get to know that it's really sustainable. It's very good for your health as well. So that particular material has a lot of health benefits, and it has a property that it might deform with the heat, but the beauty about it is when you put it back on the electric stove, how it is made, you can reshape it again and again. So it's a very long term and a durable sort of material. So that really changed my perspective. Like it caught my eye because you need the piece to be really timeless. Because when you're investing in a piece of jewelry, you would want to make it timeless, and you would also want to incorporate which helps other aspects of it. And now the technology and everything is rising as well. You can always try incorporating those things into your jewelry for medical, for safety purposes, for navigation. And that really opens a door for the future of jewelry since AI and tech are really coming into place. So you bring the traditional learnings into what you're going to do next into the future, and that where it's going to bridge the gap.
And based on what you've seen, do like traditional handcraft methods inherently produce less waste and environmental impact than modern production, or is the reality more nuanced than that?
See, I feel like there can never be like totally no waste, that's for sure. But you can always try and practice more ethical methods. So so right now the jewelry industry is really unorganized to put it into the terms where I would say that it's going into sustainability. Like obviously we do take steps towards it. Like for example, the butterfly mark and how you can make it more sustainable. But I think there's a lot more research to be done because the initial materials that we use, the diamonds and the gold as well, these raw materials only initially have that lacking of sustainability. So it has to go back and change from the roots and then get into the jewelry industry, and that's gonna take a little bit of time, but I'll get there.
Okay, and final question. For students like me who are just starting to build their own path in jewelry design, especially those of us who want our work to be both creative and responsible, what's one thing you wish someone would have told you earlier? Like, what advice would have made your journey smoother?
So I feel like people could have told me that their resources are actually really scarce, so you need to use it really wisely. And when you wanna, so research is really important. Getting ahead of things and working towards the development. So once you think that this can be more sustainable, you should go ahead and actually like work in that direction. Like find out everything you can about the material, get it with you, use it hands on, go to like a factory, see how it works. Because we always think like, oh, this is like a way we can make it better. But then when you actually go there, the restraints of it. And if you can actually reach to that level, you will always find the way to make a much better approach. So for me, I feel like just getting hands on with the material would work best.
Yeah, that's genuinely like really helpful advice, and I'll keep that in mind. So Jiya, thank you for walking me through your journey today. What stood out most from our conversation is how you've managed to gain real life experience while still learning, proving that you don't have to wait until you're established to start doing like meaningful work in the field. That's really encouraging. So to everyone listening, thanks for being here. Whether you're a student exploring design, someone curious about conscious creativity, or just interested in how jewelry careers actually get built, I hope today's conversation offered you something valuable. Until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and keep designing with intention. Thank you.